Heist label bosses, producer maestros, genre blending wizards.
Ooh.
Dam Swindle, it's amazing to see you here today.
Wow, that sounds solid.
How are you? You good?
Yeah, getting into the rhythm of things for this week of ADE.
Yeah.
Pretty busy.
You are Amsterdam locals, right? So you have seen many ADEs come and go. How many times have you been to ADE as artists?
Wow.
Every year.
Every year, yeah.
Every year since it was. So last year was the kind of early evening ADE where nobody really dared to travel to Amsterdam. So it was a lot of just locals and the conference was online. We had a party which was really great, unexpectedly great. Like we thought it would be nice, but then we started, it was from 6 to 12. I think at 6:30 the club was full, and by 7 there was like loads of people with their shirts out, like
just letting it go.
Yeah, I guess we could have expected that as well because people were just craving for a party. But yeah, our first ADE goes back, like the first Dam Swindle ADE goes back to 2012 or 13.
No, I think earlier actually.
Yeah.
Because when we played together for the first time at Club Up,
that
was like 2010 maybe, 2011, even pre first record.
Yeah, true.
So you guys must have seen a lot of changes.
Yeah.
How has the festival evolved?
Well, it's way bigger, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was always based around Felix Meritis, which was always this huge congestion in the city because everybody was just on the streets and no cars could pass. And I think ADE in general has grown in the sense that there's way more panels. ADE Lab has become a really big thing. And in the beginning, when I went to it was already there for a while, but it was still quite, everything was in Felix Meritis. You had these little rooms where all the panels were being held and everything was in that one building. And
it's
now there's just, how many buildings are there at this ADE for everything? I don't
Couldn't
even
count,
know.
yeah.
So.
I'd love to know more about what you think about how the art of sampling is evolving as technology and social media evolves. What are your thoughts on that?
The sampling was our first love when we got into production because we had no idea how to make music. It's really fascinating to see how you as an artist can get inspired by just this little piece out of a song and you can make something completely new out of it. I love it. I really love it because it's pure creativity.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's these tough conversations that you need to have about ownership. This is also something we talk about all the time. We created our own sample pack. So for the first time, people are able to get like the Dam Swindle sound on their library without ripping off any of our songs. And while exploring the sample pack, people can already make some grooves or beats with our sounds. And there's all these smart little tech things like making better loops, or you have this full track, but you don't like the drums, run it through an isotope RX9, and suddenly it takes out all the drums and it sounds pretty good, like pretty usable. So sampling and technology really stimulates creativity for us. This is just like a glimpse of our sound. People can use it, do whatever with it, and I'm curious to see what comes out.
I love that. It's like democratizing access to those amazing parts of what you create, and it's a cultural exchange after all. And
yeah, for sure.
Amazing. So what is your process for finding those incredible samples? Has it changed over time? How do you find those amazing moments that just seal the deal for us?
They're in every moment. There's instances where you just walk into a store and you hear a track playing, you're like, oh wow, this is a great sample. And I feel like that creativity lies within everyone.
We sample ourselves as well. Like when we have a nice Rhodes in the studio, and when one of us is playing, like searching for something nice, Lars usually just presses record straight away without telling anyone. And then we have this whole file, and then sometimes we just skip through it and like, if you would play one loop as when you're playing the keys, but suddenly if you switch the loop in the computer to a different starting point or a different length, it turns into something else.
And so I guess that sampling process for you has evolved over time as you guys have evolved as artists.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. It's become way more intricate.
A lot of practice, I suppose.
Yeah.
Speaking of processes, how do you guys prepare for your shows? Have you got any interesting pre-show rituals that people would be surprised to hear?
We are notoriously unprepared for our sets in a way that we want to.
I distance myself from
Strapline.
No, but this sounds really horrible.
Because
but it's true, because we don't set like, okay, these are the 20 tracks we're gonna play. We're just gonna go through our playlists and sort of find these little things like, okay, this could be the vibe. And then you add them to the playlist. And then during the night, it's like, okay, that's not the vibe.
How do you communicate with each other when, you've obviously got a very flexible approach? Like you say, you leave a lot to kind of how it spontaneously develops when you're picking up on the energy and the vibe. How do you ensure cohesion between what you're both doing? That sounds like your mind readers.
When Lars is playing his second track, so we do 2 by 2. And I'll look for something that I think will fit. And we kind of take it from there, and Lars does the same thing with me. Obviously, when you have the lineup, you see the artists you're playing with, you know what kind of sound it's gonna be mostly. And when we're just the headliners and it's locals only, then we kind of get to decide for ourselves.
You guys have talked recently about how difficult it can be to squeeze self-care into like a very busy touring schedule. What advice would you give to other artists that are kind of developing their relationship with touring and self-care as a balance?
During the week, I mean, Maarten has kids and I don't, but I still get up at 7, go to the gym every morning and take an hour to prepare healthy food. I've been a DJ since I was 21 professionally, and before my 30th birthday, I didn't do that. And I was sick always. I was like 6, 7 times a year I was sick.
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference there. And then I think one of the things I'm getting really good at that you are really bad at is doing nothing. Like Maarten is always on it. If he has a minute spare, he's working, which is great for us and for him and for me. But I think like sometimes you really need to do completely the opposite. Just sit somewhere and do nothing.
Yeah. That makes sense. In September, you guys gave us part 2 of your 10-year anniversary trilogy. What got you guys feeling so nostalgic? What inspired that 10-year retrospective?
Felt like the right time to celebrate something. I mean, we'd been sitting still, not still, but the whole party scene was dormant for about 2 years. And then suddenly we turned 10 and we're like, man, this is what did we do in these past 10 years? And we reflected on what we did and we decided to change things up a bit, but at the same time, spend more time on making music. Instead of doing gigs that we don't really love doing, but we're just doing it because you're busy anyway. Yeah. So we looked back at all that music that we made, seen the kind of the tracks that made our sound big, and decided to really revisit those tracks again, do a new mix, do a new arrangement, and put that out again. Get the artists from legendary people that we adore into like new inspiring artists that we wanted to collaborate with, get them all together for the same thing, and then write new music as well to kind of look at what the Dam Swindle story would be for the next 10 years. Yeah. So that's like 3 releases with everything bundled in there.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd do like a sort of a past, present, future thing. Okay. So that's embroidered in one record, basically. Yeah, and you guys obviously were particularly reflective over COVID. There was a point where you decided to move away from the Detroit Swindle moniker and into the Dam Swindle, which, it's super admirable to have that level of self-reflection, I think. How was that process for you guys to kind of rename your act? I mean, it was something that it spanned over a couple of years even, because obviously we started off using that name as a sort of homage to music that inspired us to make music together. And then obviously, at one point, you have to ask yourself, like, how did that music that we love and that connected us together, how did that come about? And if you research into that, then you find out that most of this music is made by people that are suppressed in their culture and in their country, and then suddenly it doesn't make sense anymore, specifically during COVID, we had a lot of time to reflect. So this was part of that reflection, and then suddenly we're like, we don't feel comfortable using that name anymore. And then there were some other people from our scene that also talked to us about it, and that we talked to them. And it was nice because it wasn't like that we got called out or anything, but it was just good structural talks, and it was really helpful. And we also actively searched for these conversations. And then at one point we just decided, like, what's the big deal for us to change that little part of our name, you know? It's funny that you don't realize how much of public property you are, you know, because, a lot of people are like, why did you change your name? Oh my God, oh my God.
People have such a sense of ownership almost because they've been
exactly.
for so long. But
and that's something that we didn't think of.
Yeah.
And that's something that, in hindsight, like, is something that it's good that we know that now.
Yeah.
Because that also makes you way more careful about what your role is as well. Because you're public property, you know. These are people that grew up with our music, basically.
Yeah.
So, but I think right now, nobody, I mean, there's no one that challenges this name or...
they're settling into, okay, they've accepted it,
exactly.
final stage of
exactly.
acceptance. That's good to
I
hear.
mean, we can see it in almost any measurable way that we're still growing.
Yeah.
So,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. It was great to chat.
Our pleasure.
Hopefully see you soon at one of your shows.
Have a great
Enjoy
ADE.
ADE. Yeah, you too. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know who you would like to see us interview next in the comments below.